I have 3 months to find a job, or I have to leave Japan. That's the situation now. So let's begin from the start. How did I get here? How did I get here? If you're new, you've probably don't know about. I'm a freelance web developer in Japan. I've been working IT in Japan for what 7 or 8 years now. But yes, I'm in the situation. My last projects ended last month, so that's the last billing months. Billing month was last month. So now so from April, I have no project or job, which is personally it's fine. I mean, I like to take my time a bit. I like to chill out. But for immigration, I have to find something. I have to have employment. That's the strict rules, okay? So my immigration lawyer says you have to find something and abide by the rules. That's more or less what she said. When I end the project, I have to notify immigration within 2 weeks or something. But to be honest, I know heaps of people who don't do it on time, and they're still here. So I've notified immigration that I have no current employment, that I've terminated contracts with my previous, the contracts have ended. That's what I've notified them about. And now I'm in a strange position because I have to find something now. And you might think, Otaran, you've been working for 7 years. This is easy for you. You just go and get that job. And yeah, it is. I won't say it's easy. That's not fair to say. I've only been job hunting for the past 2 or 3 days, spending at least 5 hours a day. And the reason why it's not as simple or easy as you might think is I'm 35 years old and I've been doing this for the past 7 years, right? Or at least 7 years, nearly 8 now. And it's not just finding something now. It's more of finding something. Why do you want to work in a certain company? Because there are, I have this is my opinion only. You've got two types of devs. You've got a junior dev, then you've got a lead, and that's it. There's no middle ground. That's just how my mind works. And the reason there is no middle ground because it's either you have a guy taking care of everything, or you have junior devs working their ass off trying to make stuff for a project. And I think that's that's the business side of things. That's how I interpret everything from my experience. Mid engineers, it's kind of hard because they don't know where to put you, and a company doesn't know where to put you. And then how much is the mid engineer worth? I don't know, because the junior would be something like 30 to 40K, right? And then the senior you'd pay like 60, 70, or at least, depending on the company. So I wouldn't call myself a senior. I don't even call myself an engineer or a web developer. I just call myself a web developer. Even though I've been doing a lot of Vue and I've worked on React and a lot of JavaScript, Node.js kind of work, a lot of D3.js. Like I don't even want to call myself that thing. That's like, if you're that thing, that's cool, that's your thing, but it's not like my thing. That sounds really pretentious, yeah, I know. I think it's because if I call myself an engineer, it means I better know X, Y, and Z. I better know, oh, you don't know how to do this? Oh, you're not really an engineer then. It's I don't know, I'm a bit complex like that. I just call myself a web developer and I can make full stack web applications. Oh, you don't know that Banana.js? No. Oh, then you're not the real deal. And the other reason it's a bit tricky with me because I have a working visa, and it's until the next year September, and I'm trying to get my PR as well. So there's a lot of moving parts here. Another one is if I'm a freelance engineer, I have 3 months to find another project. What type of project do I want to find? What type of work do I want to do? Do I want to push more into a full stack? Do I want to go back end? These are some of the questions that is coming up recently. Do I want to make my own startup, my own company? Well, I can't, right? And then the next part I just want to talk a bit more honestly about is the freelance life. I don't know, and I've been freelancing for 3 years now. And I make like a joke like Chad freelancer versus, but it's just jokes. It's and it is coming. I am looking at pros and cons, and my currently this is where I stand with freelancing as a foreigner on a working visa. There is this part where, okay, how much do you want to make? A lot. If you ask yourself, do I want to make like over 100K? Okay, you go become a freelance. But you also say, am I fine with paying all those taxes? Am I fine with doing more than one project at once? Because chances are you can't get a project that can just pay you that much in a year. So you might have to run a few projects at once. If that's fine, okay. And then the other one is, are you okay with chasing projects every 6 months? Because once you finish a project, for example, I finished mine just last month, and it wasn't the last month project weren't a large amount. It was a small amount. And then, so let's say 3 months before a project ends, you have to get another project ready, right? To replace that project. And if you're doing, let's say, 2 projects at once, and each one is doing 4 to 5K each, for example, you might be just doing a front end, or you might be doing full stack. You're just continuously doing that. And if you take 1 month off, or 2 months, and if you're a foreigner, you're putting yourself at risk of not having a project or a job. It's not the money part here. It's about, you don't want to put yourself in a negative situation, right? So if you have 3 months to find another project, but let's say for example, there's nothing really good right now, it'll take 3.5 months, 4 months. And it's not, this part's not the money part. It's more of do you want to, and if you jump into a project, it's like project, I call it project hell, is when you're in a project, not because you're really interested and you want to work on it, it's because, let's say, you need a project, just because you need something, or because you want to have your target of whatever target of your income is. Are you fine with that project hell lifestyle? Because there are projects where they might be paying well, but my goodness, it's just absolute hell, which will be another conversation about how do companies treat freelancers. And it's, to be honest, like, you can look around, there's very little incentive for them to look after you. And that's just the way it is, right? And I'm not like, I don't want them to be nice to me, right? So that's the part which, there are a lot of moving parts here where it's not so simple. So the part about, now going back to the freelance, if you are fine with, for example, another good way to go as a freelance is you work 20 to 30 hours a week and you make between 4 or 5K, right? Let's say 4K a month, Yeonjuman around. The rest of the time, like, you work 3 days a week, and then the 4 days a week, you focus on your own project, something you really are passionate about. It's hard to do that with a company. So we believe, right? But I noticed that when I'm doing freelancing, I might as well work for a company, because the amount of hours I'm working and what I get back from it, it's and someone could say, oh, but Taran, look, you went traveling around for 1 month in Hokkaido as a digital nomad, and you went, and I was like, yeah, that's cool, but I didn't actually like, when you work and travel, you don't feel like you're really traveling. You just feel like you're panicking and you're worried that, okay, they think I'm playing around, but I'm actually working. So it's not so, I would prefer to travel, like, take a Friday off, get 2 nights and travel somewhere in Japan. I think that's like way better than working while you're traveling, because at least you can turn off your computer and go, hey guys, I'll close your Slack. I'm not working for the next 3 days, guys. I'm on holiday. I'm checking out, I'm going snowboarding. But if you're freelance and you're doing that, it's kind of hard to manage this because you're constantly traveling, and that's another part. That's another part which kind of wanted to make sure make quite clear. So then I start to think that, okay, so if I'm already working crazy hours freelancing, and I'm getting taxed more, isn't it better to make a little less, join a company that's flexible, and then have all the pros of being an employee, but also have time where you can do your own thing? And that's the stage where I'm trying to think, can I manage that? Is that possible? Because it's, of course, one, it's easier for Visa, right? To have a contract of a company, a proper full-time employment with all the perks. And then two, the stresses of finding projects every 6 months, right? That's another thing. Every 6 months, sometimes even every 4 months. That's another thing to take into consideration. So is it possible to have a 40-hour week work, but kind of, for example, I like to code in the evenings or nighttime. Then if I want to do my own thing, maybe at lunchtime or, just after lunch, I can go meet, let's say, a possible client for my own side project. So is it possible to do your own side project while you have full-time employment, right? And that's the part I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think it through. Is this possible? Because if not, for example, so I'll just share my screen now, and I'll go through what I'm looking at, and I'm always straight up with you guys, and as you know,